Coming up next on America's Horse, we visit the high plains of northern Arizona and the Babbitt Ranches, winners of this year's AQHA Bayer Best Remuda Award. Ranching is never easy, and even more so in the desert. How did the Babbitt Ranches become one of the best? We'll find out. With any successful ranching operation, it takes the right combination of cowboys and horses. The Babbitt Ranches have some of the best of both, and we'll meet them next on this week's America's Horse.
America's Horse, the international report on the world's most versatile equine breed, the American Quarter Horse.
Hi, I'm Jeff Metters. Welcome to America's Horse. Since 1992, AQHA and Bayer have presented the Best Remuda Award. It honors the contribution ranch horses have made to the heritage of the American Quarter Horse. Today, we're just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, headquarters of this year's winner, the Babbitt Ranches. The landscape is not exactly what you picture when you think of a ranch in Arizona, but it's not far from it either. Rolling hills, volcanic rock, and dusty trails cover this northern part of the state. Like ranches everywhere, regardless of the land, the work still has to be done. This morning begins like most spring mornings do on a ranch with over 8,000 head of cattle. Breakfast is served, horses are rounded up, saddles are packed, and it's all hauled down the road to the open pastures where this year's calf branding is in full gear. This is the CO Bar, the original land of the Babbitt Ranches that were founded here in 1886 by the 5 Babbitt brothers. Here you'll find American quarter horses that embody the spirit of the AQHA Bayer Best Remuda Award, a group of working horses bred for the ranch specifically to work and pen cattle.
The Babbitt Ranches is made up of 3 holdings. One is the CO Bar, the other is the Cataract and SP. And those 3 combined is what we call Babbitt Ranches.
Babbitt Ranches president Bill Cordasco speaks with a sense of pride when he talks about the horse operation.
I think there are several things that go into developing a Remuda. First off is the history of the horses to begin with and the purposes that they were evolving with the operations. In this case here, Babbitt's has nearly 120 years of history where they were raising cattle, of which the horses were a primary tool for that purpose. Secondly, of course, is that Babbitt's has been blessed with some very special people who have a unique passion and understanding of horses, how to fit them together for working ranches. Along with that, the AQHA providing things with solid pedigree information, standards and guidelines and all, and the research that goes into that. Babbitt's has had people who could take all of that and I call it with a sense of art, produce the horses that we have here today.
Ranch manager Vic Howell is one of those artists credited with sculpting the Remuda.
The horse business is exciting. I can't think of anything funner than breeding horses and raising them up, then them going on to be a good horse. It's the ultimate. This is a lot of fun.
Vic's fun has turned the Babbitt Ranches into a place where cowboys come to work and ride. They're looking for good horses and ones they can count on.
You got to have a good horse because you never know what you're going to run into. And so, because you might leave to go check the fence and you run into a cow having trouble having a calf. You might have a mix-up or just liable to run into anything.
American quarter horses have their work cut out for them at the Babbitt Ranches. Every day of the year for the past 120 years, someone has been on horseback on this land. The Babbitt Ranches are the 14th winner of the AQHA Bayer Best Remuda Award. When we return, we'll take a closer look at this historic ranch and take a tour of their pastures, which run almost the entire length of the state of Arizona. And later, a closer look at what makes these American quarter horses the best.
America's Horse is brought to you by Bayer Corporation, makers of quality animal health products. MBNA America, the official credit card of AQHA. FedEx, you can always rely on the ultimate in reliable shipping. Relax, it's FedEx. And by Professional's Choice, the official provider of sports medicine products.
Welcome back to America's Horse. In 1886, 5 brothers from Cincinnati, Ohio, moved out here to begin what has become one of the most successful ranching operations in the world. With $20,000 in their pocket, the brothers left Ohio and headed west to raise cattle in New Mexico. Cheaper grassland in Arizona, however, would be where they would settle.
There were 5 brothers, and with the marketing and enthusiasm to head out west, they read pamphlets and did some exploring, got on the train, checked out a few places across the country, and ended up settling in Flagstaff, Arizona. And it was a very short period of time after that when they were able to purchase some cattle and start building Babbitt ranches. In recognition of where they came from, Cincinnati, Ohio, they came up with the CO Bar brand, and that's what's on the Hereford cattle today. Today, Babbitt Ranches is about a little over 700,000 acres. It has private land, state land, and Forest Service permits.
Babbitt Ranches consist of 3 different areas of northern Arizona. North of Flagstaff is the CO Bar, a 635-section ranch. To the west, 225 sections that make up the Cataract Ranch, and the 225-section Espy Ranch southwest of that. The CO Bar and the Cataract are home for the cow-calf operation, and the Espy carries the yearlings. Part of the ranch borders the Grand Canyon, and the terrain varies depending on where you are.
Its landscape is very diverse. Here we're in higher altitudes, maybe close to 8,000 feet. Ponderosa pine and aspens with the mountains and snow. But it doesn't take you but about 20 minutes down the road and you start to drop off into more pinyon juniper type country and then further out into more of a grassland area.
About every place a horse puts his foot, there's a rock, either next to his foot or pretty close to his foot. The country is some country that's just kind of rolling, and then there's some country that's, you think, boy, this is just a big old mesa. And you ride just a little ways and it just drops off into a canyon.
The ranch terrain has made for some interesting trivia questions. It was used for commercials, the movie Quick and the Dead, and NASA has brought the lunar rover there for test rides. For horses and cattle, the land offers more than what first meets the eye.
Over on the CO Bar, we have the Malapai soil, or the cinder soils. Over here we have this limestone soil, and anyway, it's just real good for growing plants. And then we have this 4-wing saltbush, or chamise here, and anytime you have this, you really probably don't have to feed in the wintertime because the cows is high in protein, just like putting out protein blocks. It's also real good, we feel like, put a foot on a horse because it just makes their feet hard and puts good bone to raise up run your yearlings and 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds even out here. Really gets a good bone structure on your horses.
For all their history, the Babbitt family might be considered a new breed of rancher. They've taken extra effort to work with the local community as well as state and federal governments in managing the land.
They've been making efforts to put their lands into conservation, and they've accomplished this already with one ranch called the Cataract Ranch, which I think is either the 6th or 7th largest conservation easement in the country. And I think that they're very hopeful that they'll be able to do that with the remaining properties that they have sometime soon in the future.
The Babbitt ranches have already designated 40,000 acres as open space. Development of any kind will not happen on those lands. It's a commitment they hope to increase, and an example of their commitment to the land and the communities where they live. Airplanes, helicopters, and motorcycles have never been used to run the ranches here. The job of managing the land and herding the cows have always been done by the American quarter horse. We'll take a closer look at the AQHA Bayer Best Remuda when we return. We'll also discover the family connection that has made the Babbitt ranches successful. That's next on America's Horse. Welcome back to America's Horse. The Babbitt ranches have been run by the same family now for more than a century. Each generation carefully passing on to the next the art of managing a ranch and managing life. Since its beginning, the Babbitt ranches have been a family affair. There were the Babbitt brothers, and since then, the ranches have been passed down through family connections. Ranch headquarters in Flagstaff is not the only place where family roots run deep. The modern history of ranch management grows there as well. Described by John Babbitt as the essence of the CO Bar, Bill Howell worked as ranch manager for 25 years. Frank Banks did the hiring.
There's a whole story in itself how he went to work for Babbitt. Dad, they had some horses that was bucking a little bit. And Dad had rode broncs at the rodeos, and Dad rode good. And so anyway, he got that job to ride those horses.
Anyhow, I got on this horse and rode out there and helped him put the cattle in. Of course, it's different trails and stuff like that. And man, the sucker blowed his whistle, and he damn sure did buck. I got him rode, and hell, two of them guys walked to the bunkhouse with me. And so Frank was never really ever did say anything to me, you know. And he, that morning when he dropped his men off, he took me with him. So I thought, well, if this is good or bad. So we rode on a little further, and he said, I haven't had any horse tracks on this ranch for quite a while. If you want a camp, I'll give you a camp. And you can break horses and take care of this country.
Supporting a wife and two small boys and without a job, Bill Howell immediately took him up on the offer. 10 years later, he was asked to manage the ranch he accidentally found while he was looking for another job.
I've said, people have asked me about Dad, and anyway, I said he's the most versatile person I've ever known to be able to design shipping pins, to ride a bronc, to trip steers, to cut cattle out of a herd, or set up a roundup or to make a drive, or do. But anyway, just all-around cowboy, and you know, just proud as I could ever be of my dad.
His son Vic worked for him, and after graduating from college, came back to the ranch. Learning from his dad, Vic took over the reins and became ranch manager in 1991. The mentor now worked for the student, and not much has changed.
Dad was one of those strong personalities, I am a little bit too, that he never had too many, per se, bosses that actually bossed him. You know, he was a leader in every way. So anyway, Dad and I that really worked well, which is, I'm an oldest son, and anyway, we just thought alike, and he was probably waiting for me to come up to the idea, thinking, well, about time you thought of that, you know, it's one of those kind of deals.
We never had a crossword. A lot of people think that's kind of odd, but I didn't care. I was getting older, tired. And I let somebody else to make those decisions. Sure. And then we shared quite a few decisions. We still share them.
They also agree on the most important lessons learned.
Taught him to be a good person. I taught him to take what my knowledge and passed it on to him with a lot of respect, and he done the same to me.
Honesty, those character qualities, respect, those truth, you know, those things is what Dad's the most honest man I ever knew. So that's what I guess best thing I ever learned from him. You know, that would be more important than learning how to rope or learning how to drag calves, or you know, those kind of things, although they're important too. But
For Vic, it's been the perfect situation.
before we make a move, we know where the other one's going to be, and so anyway, we really work well together. And I just tell people I can't think of anything better to come back to this ranch. My daughters were around my dad, and I just got to spend my life working with my dad. And anyway, looking back 20, you know, I'm thankful that I come back to when they offered me the job, I didn't know that I would want to work for Dad. You know, as a teenager, and I was in my 20s and didn't want to know if I'd want to come back. But then looking back on it, you know, 25 years back, it's the best thing I ever did.
Even though Bill Howell claims to be retired, you can still find him out here every day. It's American quarter horses that make the Babbitt ranches so successful. A closer look at their horse operation when America's Horse returns.
America's Horse has been brought to you by Bear Corporation, makers of quality animal health products. American Quarter Horse Journal, the official publication of the American Quarter Horse Association. MB&A America, the official credit card of AQHA. And by Ford, the best-selling trucks are built Ford tough.
Welcome back to America's Horse. The 14 winners of the AQHA Bayer Best Remuda Award are all unique in their own special way. And each ranch today faces its own set of circumstances ranching in the new millennium. But there is one thing that they all have in common. The heart and soul of each operation is the American quarter horse.
I think that people know when they come to Babbitt's what to expect. I think that you know, they're looking forward to going to work at a ranch that has cattle, that is worked on a daily basis, on horseback, those type of things. I think that you know, that people may come to ride the horses too.
Since its inception, the Babbitt ranches have been in the horse breeding business.
Babbitt's uses horses because of need to do that. If there were other pieces of equipment or other ways to do the same thing that was more efficient, less costly, so on and so forth, you know, I think that we would definitely explore those opportunities, and we have. But with the diversity of the country, whether it's mountainous, trees, rocks, sand, and also the expanse in the size of pastures, things like that, nothing has come close to the ability of the quarter horses to gather cattle and work them.
Their first registered horse was a horse named Naco, purchased by ranch manager Frank Banks. Since then, Bill Howell and now Vic have continued to build upon a foundation that has given the Babbitt ranches a Remuda to be proud of.
But I will tell you that of all my travels and all of the things that I know of, which more or less is there, I've never met a person who is as artful when it comes to breeding horses as Victor Howell.
The Babbitt ranches currently stand 7 stallions. Many of their Remuda comes from Cowboy Drift, Hank's Chargin' Bar, Deck of Wood, and Proud Gun Sires. PC Wade's Frost also stands at the Babbitt ranches. Cowboy Ben Driftin is Vic's horse.
Well, he's the son of Cowboy Drift, and out of one of our Hank Chargin' Bar mares that we raised him. And anyway, he's a 10-year-old now, and we rope off of him I rope off of him and head off of him. We take him to the cowboy reunion and do calf roping and heeling and heading, and then we tie down steers. And then Harvey, he took him to the ranch rodeo in Amarillo 2 years ago and roped a cow on him. So he's just a versatile horse. Just use him for everything on the ranch. And my daughter, reason we keep him up here is because my daughter breakaways on him at the high school rodeos. He's handy here, and we can just come up here and catch him and load him in the trailer, and we'll go right straight to the high school rodeos. He's just a really smooth traveling, easy riding horse. He's got a lot of cow in him, really watches the cow good, and he's also a horse that's got a lot of speed out of the box. A lot of those cowboy drift horses are rodeo types, and anyway, puts a real good head on most all of his babies, sharp little eared and good-eyed colts.
Each cowboy is given a string of 5 to 8 horses to ride. Each year, the ranch holds a sale of their hash knife horses, smooth traveling horses that are gentle to ride.
And we're selling all the babies at the horse sale, and we sell about 40 head a year. And the kind of unique way that we do that is that we sell them always the second Saturday in July. This year it'd be the 9th of July. And we sell them now with a $250 deposit, but we run them through the winter and into the spring, and then the people come and pick them up in March.
Each stallion is put out with his mares in early April. The foals begin to arrive just in time for the spring and summer grasses that are so rare in these parts, making for a healthy yearling.
Actually, we probably wouldn't wean very many colts at all till January. And then we wean them and bring them in and halter break them along as we have time. But then along about late February, what we haven't got done, we'll go ahead and wean the rest of them and get them all broke to lead, so the customers, they'll be ready to go when they come in March to pick them up. As far as branding, we brand the colts usually the day before the sale.
Vic also keeps about 70 to 80 horses around for the ranch's Remuda. He says he's happy with these horses, but ever the artist, he's always looking to improve his Remuda's palette. This year, it looks as though he's working with one brush.
Sorrel seems to be the popular color this year. You breed a buckskin to a chestnut, get a sorrel. You breed a buckskin to a black, get a sorrel. We're always looking for new blood and something that might work, and so, you know, I'm gonna ride these kind of crossing the cowboy drift mares with the play gun stud and the sunfrost horse. We're gonna ride those and see how they turn out, and it'll be just no time at all. We'll be keeping fillies out of the proud gun horse, and we'll be looking for a stud to cross him on. And anyway, you know, with that many mares, we're always looking, always got our eye out for new blood and wanting to ride them and just testing them and trying to, you know, just trying to make them the best that they can be, and just checking those mares out and seeing which studs they're crossing best with. Like if I get one that I don't think the conformation is quite as what I was liking, I might switch the mare to a different stud and see if she'll do a little better.
Congratulations to this year's winner of the AQHA Bayer Best Remuda Award, the Babbitt Ranches, and a special thanks to Bill Cardasco and Vic Howell for their hospitality up here in northern Arizona as they give us a taste of the ranching life. That's this edition. We'll see you next time on America's Horse.
Pretty.